If you need level 40, unlimited, limited, clutch time, domination, triple threat, or anything else on your 2K account grinded, contact Rose NBA on Twitter and let them know X sent you. Power forwards tier list, let's get into it. So we got everybody right here. Remember, we do not rank these lists like left to right or anything like that. And these are all primary position lists just because it makes it easier for me to make it and you to know who's going to be on it. So let's get into it. First off, we got the hard pass tier, which has Zach Randolph, Popeye Jones, Paul Silas, Mark Bryant, James Johnson, and Brian Scalabrine. Most of these cards are pretty just I mean, Mark Bryant's got Thomas Bryant, pretty decent NBA player, so that's cool as his son, so appreciate that. And Paul Silas, pretty good defender. Brian Scalabrine can shoot a little bit, which is kind of nice, but for the most part, there's nothing crazy, nothing insane. And Paul Silas didn't make this still decent tier just because I thought there was somebody else we can cover right now. That was a little bit better. So still decent has Udonis Haslem, Maurice Lucas, Horace Grant, and David West. Maurice Lucas just a slightly better version of Paul Silas, at least in my opinion. So I just kind of left him up there. And most of them are kind of, you can see, non-shooting bigs. But David West has a bit of shooting, but he kind of lacks in the defensive end. So I felt like he kind of fit here relatively well. So that's kind of where we were going with this. Horace Grant is actually pretty cool. He does have a nice midi and is actually pretty solid, but is nothing like absolutely insane. So I decided to like just kind of leave him there. So there's that. Then we got the pretty damn solid tier, which has Jeremy Sohan, Scotty Barnes, Nicholas Batum, Lamar Odom, Kevin Love, Karl Malone, Julius Randle, Dirk Nowitzki, and Charles Oakley. Actually a pretty good set of guys. Sohan, obviously the Sohan jumper, and actually has pretty good defense, pretty good playmaking as well, but his finishing is a little bit lackluster, shooting a little bit lackluster, especially with the fact that he has his jumper on the slow timing, which definitely hurts him a little bit, but he's a pretty solid card, and if you're looking for a guy who can play playmaking defenses like your power forward, small forward, and still kind of shoot, he is pretty good for it. Scotty Barnes is kind of just like a really nice all-around card. I don't really love his jumper, but it's good enough to kind of hit occasionally. Does have really good defense, good playmaking, good finishing, so he's an all-around pretty solid guy. Nicholas Batum, super solid, just doesn't really have the offense to kind of back it up, but again, has the playmaking as the defense. Lamar Odom is pretty solid all around, but it was a first takeover card that we got, so I do think he's probably the worst that we have. Kevin Love, or not the worst that we have, but one of the worst that we have. The worst is probably Darren Williams. We got Kevin Love, who's a really good pick and popper, but doesn't really provide too much else. He's a little bit slow, and his defense just doesn't really hold up to a lot of the other centers that we get in the game right now. Does get pumped a little bit, which is why he's falling to the wayside. Karl Malone, pretty good all around, just doesn't really have the badges to back up his stats, which is kind of unfortunate. The stats are pretty important, but badges are also stupid important as well, so you kind of need both, so it's kind of hurting. Julius Randle is a pretty solid card. I don't mind the jumper. It's not the greatest in the world, but it's not bad. And he is pretty good offensively. His defense is actually super solid for a guy who's playing a power forward position. He's actually like a pretty decent card. I just don't love him. So he's sitting there and pretty damn solid. Dirk Nowitzki is a good shooter, but if we're being honest, it's Dirk. His jumper is just not the fastest. It's not the easiest to get off. He's not the fastest. His defense really isn't all that good. So for getting end of the year, I just don't think that Dirk is really going to hold up. I do hope that he does get like a jumper change. I do think that would be pretty useful for him. But as of right now, Charles Oakley, actually a pretty good defender. Charles Oakley, pretty great at playing just defense and doing his thing. Is actually a super solid guy, but he got his jumper on slow. While it is a pretty good timing impact jumper when it comes to my career, something insane. It's pretty solid. And if you're looking for a guy who's just going to kind of play that defense, I mean, you like him. But I just don't think that he's like insane, next level, going to change up the game for you and really worth putting anything higher. Then we got the Baby Demon, which has Blake Griffin, Paulo Banchero, Keegan Murray, Jabari Smith, Sean Kemp, Robert Ory, Richard Lewis, Pascal Siakam, LaMarcus Aldridge, and Kenyon Martin, along with Dennis Rodman. It's a pretty solid group of guys. Blake Griffin is a crazy good offensive guy playing your power forward and your center. I kind of prefer him as a center. Has good rebounding. He's going to be finishing like crazy, and he has a decent enough jumper that he can still hit it and actually play makes pretty well. But his defense is a little bit lackluster, especially in the paint, which is kind of tough, especially against, Yao and guys like that are out right now. If we go against Patrick Ewing, and that was absolutely insane. So, not great there, but still pretty solid. Paulo Banchero, I do like his power forward. Another one of those kind of like offense. He was shades of Blake, so he does play similar to Blake, although I much prefer Banchero's jumper, so I do like that. Keegan Murray, all offense kind of guy, and I did put him up on this Baby Demon tier because he does have super limitless range, which is really good for a guy playing your small forward and power forward. He doesn't have the defense at all, but he does play fast, and he does get buckets for you, which is really nice. Jabari Smith is kind of like that midway power forward where he's kind of just pretty solid at everything, and I think that kind of puts him up in the Baby Demon tier because he goes with a super smooth jumper and it's on the quick timing as well, which definitely boosts him up. Sean Kemp, some people might want him in Demons, but I'm putting him in Baby Demon just because his defense really isn't there. Sean Kemp is a guy who you want to play fast with, get buckets, and not really worry too much about the defense, and he plays that role absolutely insanely well. The problem is, even against Bull, I've been able to kind of push him around a little bit, get some easy layups and dunks over him because he's a little bit too short. And it just hasn't really been great because he really is no presence inside the paint. Robert Horry is pretty great, if we're being honest. And I almost want to put him in the demon tier. But again, he doesn't really have the badges, I think, to back that up. He's got a great jumper. He's got great defense. He's super tall, 6'10" for a small forward and power forward. That is great. He's all around super solid. I just didn't think I could put him quite up there. Rashard Lewis, one of the best shooters you can find in the game. He does have a really nice jumper. It is a little bit slow. But all around, really good power forward. Can get buckets for you, especially when it comes to shooting. He's a demon. Then we got Pascal Siakam, has the Michael Jordan dribble style as a power forward, which is crazy. Pascal Siakam is, again, one of those jack of all trades kind of guys. You just want on your team because he's really not going to do anything wrong for you, to be honest. And then LaMarcus Aldridge, really good pick and pop guy, and I'm surprised that they gave him a gold anchor, which actually means he's a really good, center. I think he's good as a backup center and kind of a guy who can stretch the floor for you as a big. Really like that. But as a power forward, he's not the greatest because he's stupid slow. So, I don't know. I tossed it up, but I left him a baby demon. Kenyon Martin, really good all around. He actually is a bit of a jumper, which is kind of nice, but really you want him because he's got really good defense, especially on the perimeter. Really good, but sometimes in the interior, I think he lack a little bit because he doesn't have anchor. But you know, it is what it is. And then Dennis Rodman. This one was a bit interesting for me, and I'm going to actually double check Dennis Rodman's stats just so I'm going to tell you guys kind of the reasoning behind why I figured I could leave Dennis Rodman up there. It's really because at 6'7" with a 7'3" wingspan, yes, he only has a 73 and a 68 midi, but honestly, he's good enough to hit, especially with the Ewing jumpers, which isn't too bad. He's got gold bully, 89s in the speed, but then a 94 interior, 90 perimeter defense, a 90 steal and block, Hall of Fame anchor, workhorse, box out beast, rebound chaser, and every other defensive badge is on gold. It felt like you could actually still make him good. You can give him catch and shoot. You can give him Claymore and just make him a really, really good standstill shooter for you out there. And his defense is just so damn good that I felt like it just boosted him up in the baby demon. It's actually crazy. I don't think that he'll stay here long, but as of right now, I like him up there. And then last but not least, we get the Demons tier with Galaxy Opal, Anthony Davis, Zion Williamson, Andre Karolinka, Porter Jr., Larry Johnson, Kevin Garnett, Jermaine O'Neal, James Worthy, Draymond Green, and Chris Bosh. So with Anthony Davis, I mean, he's one of the Galaxy Opals. Every Galaxy Opal you can get right now in the game, which is only 5 of them, I'm pretty sure. 6 of them. There's 6 of them. Are all in the Demons here. We all kind of know that. It's pretty simple. It's pretty self-explanatory. So yeah, he's up there. Zion Williamson can just literally bully his way around everywhere. It doesn't really matter. He is 6'7", but he's still one of the best finishers, if not the best that I've gone against in the game. The guy literally doesn't miss in the paint, and he's got a decent enough jumper to shoot. Great rebounder, pretty solid defender. Not bad at all. Andre Karolinka, one of the best perimeter defenders in the entire game. The dude is going to absolutely lock you down. He can still shoot pretty well. His finishing, not the greatest. His playmaking is pretty good though. But it's literally just the fact that I think he has Hall of Fame challenger and clamps. That's keeping him in the Demons here because Hall of Fame challenger, crazy good badge to get those jump shot contests to speed up the jumper and really throw people off. Michael Porter Jr. is a really good card that I think people are sleeping on. He's not great with the ball in his hands because he's got a bad dribble style, but his jumper is really easy to time. His defense is absolutely immaculate because of the glitch, and his finishing is just as good as you would expect it. And even has really good playmaking as well. He really reminds me of Galaxy Opal Tatum from last year where we got him. He had a great jumper. He was smooth. He was consistent, but you didn't really want to dribble with him too much. But you could do some super simple moves, and his defense was literally insane. So I do love this Michael Porter Jr. Larry Johnson is just good at everything. The guy's got defense, he's got playmaking, he's a money shooter with a great jumper, and his finishing is absolutely insane. On par with a Zion Williamson kind of card, but he can also play the small forward, which is crazy good. Kevin Garnett is one of the best defensive bigs that we have in the entire game right now. Like a guy literally a demon on defense, and definitely is one of those guys you want to play more at the center, just like Jermaine O'Neal. Really nice. And Jermaine O'Neal just is strong, man. He's just strong. This Jermaine O'Neal can literally pup anybody that he wants to and just feels super clean, super consistent. Anything you need him to do, he's got it. Does have a slow jumper, but it is money when you get it down. James Worthy, just a jack of all trades kind of card. And same thing with Draymond Green. Both of these guys, in my opinion, are just crazy good all around. They can play make, they can play defense, they can shoot, they can finish. They're good post guys, and they're great. Draymond a slightly worse finisher. I think James Worthy a slightly worse shooter. But Draymond does have his jumper on slow, so it's a little but they're both pretty good cards. And then last but not least, Chris Bosh, who just has a money jumper, is super smooth, it's super consistent, and has a really high release point, so it's sometimes hard to contest. That's a great post game, decent enough defender when it comes to playing in the paint, not necessarily on the perimeter, and his finishing is also really good as well. I do prefer him as a center as well, but it's just an all-around great card. So that's what we have for our Power Force tier list. Let me know what you guys think about it down in the comment section below. Let me know your personal Power Force tier list and all that wonderful stuff. Hope you have a great day. Like, comment, subscribe, and I'll see you in the next video.